Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. Welcome to our video presentation. Today, our group will be presenting our research title, The Influence of Social Media Influencers on Online Purchase Intention Among University Students in Malaysia. Before we begin, let me introduce our team members. I am Nurjana, followed by Nur Aina Fanisha, Putri Natasha Atila, Dia Maisara, Nur Izzatul Azmira, and Nurul Afifah. Without further ado, let's get started.
Background of study. Social media has become an important part of our daily life, especially in Malaysia. According to recent statistics, almost 80% of Malaysians actively use social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Among all users, university students are one of the most active groups, spending approximately 6 to 8 hours every day on social media. Because they spend so much time online, they are consistently exposed to digital advertisement, product review, and influencer content. Today, social media influencer has become one of the most effective marketing channels. Instead of relying only on traditional advertising, many companies now collaborate with influencers because consumers often trust recommendations from people they follow. This influencer recommendation can shape consumer opinion and eventually influence their purchase decision. Therefore, our study focuses on 4 important influencer characteristics that may influence student intention to purchase product online. These characteristics are trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality. Next is our problem statement. Although influencer marketing has become increasingly popular in Malaysia, there are still limited empirical studies that specifically examine how influencer characteristics affect online purchase intention among Malaysian university students. Most previous studies were conducted in other countries, where consumer behaviors, culture, and purchasing habits may be different from Malaysia. In addition, university students represent a unique group of consumers because they are highly active on social media, frequently interact with influencers, and often rely on online shopping. Previous research has also produced inconsistent findings. For example, some studies found that trustworthiness and expertise strongly influence purchase intention, while other studies reported weak or insignificant relationship. Similarly, there are mixed findings regarding attractiveness and content quality. Because of these inconsistencies, it is still unclear which influencer characteristics have the great impact on this slide present. Finally, this slide explains the significance, scope, and limitation of our study. First, the significance of this research. This study contributes to the existing literature by providing more evidence on influencer marketing within the Malaysia context, especially among university students. From a practical perspective, the findings can help business and marketers design more effective influencer marketing campaign by understanding which influencer characteristics are most important to consumers. In addition, social media influencers themselves can use this finding to improve the quality of their content, build strong relationship with followers, and increase their credibility. Moving on to the scope of the study. This research focused only on university students in Malaysia who actively use social media and have been exposed to influencer content. The study specifically examines 4 independent variables: trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality, and investigate their relationship with the dependent variable, which is online purchase intention. Lastly, there are several limitations. First, the respondent only consists of university students, so their findings may not represent the opinion of all Malaysian consumers. Second, the study used self-report questionnaire, meaning that respondents may not always provide completely accurate or honest answer. Third, this research used a cross-sectional design where data is collected only once. Therefore, the study can identify relationship between variables but cannot prove cause and effect relationship. Finally, because social media trends change very quickly, consumer behavior and influencer marketing strategies may also change over time. Therefore, future studies should continue exploring this topic to ensure the findings remain relevant.
Next, in Chapter 2, we review previous studies related to social media influencers and online purchase intention. The literature shows that 4 influencer characteristics can influence consumers' buying decision. which is trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, content quality. These factors were selected as the independent variables in our study because previous research found that they have a positive influence on online purchase intention. Our study is based on the theory of planned behavior or TPB developed by ASSIGNMENT in 1991. According to this theory, a person's behavior is influenced by their intention. If students have a positive attitude towards social media influencers, they are more likely to intend to purchase products recommended by those influencers. Therefore, TPB provides a strong theoretical foundation for our study. Based on the literature review, we developed 4 research hypotheses. Hypothesis 1 is trustworthiness has a significant positive influence on online purchase intention. Hypothesis 2 is expertise has a significant positive influence on online purchase intention. Hypothesis 3, attractiveness has a significant positive influence on online purchase intention. The last one is content quality has a significant positive influence on online purchase intention. Our conceptual framework shows that the 4 independent variables, trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality are expected to influence the dependent variable, which is online purchasing intention among university students in Malaysia. Next is chapter 3, which explains how the research was conducted. We used a quantitative research method with a cross-sectional research design. Data was collected through an online questionnaire using Google Forms, and the target respondents were university students in Malaysia. A minimum of 85 respondents was required, but we successfully collected 108 valid responses. The questionnaire used a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. The research process began by identifying the research problem and objective. Next, we reviewed previous literature and developed the conceptual framework. Then, we designed the questionnaire, conducted a pre-test, and distributed it online through platforms such as WhatsApp, Telegram, and social media. Finally, the collected data was analyzed using SPSS and PLS-SEM to test the reliability and research hypothesis.
Next is demographic analysis. The majority of respondents were female, representing 73.1%, while male accounted 26.9%. In terms of age, most respondents were between 21 and 23 years old, making up 73.1% of the sample. This indicates that the respondents mainly consist of university students, which is appropriate because they are among the most active users of online shopping platforms and social media. Next, the respondent came from various public universities across Malaysia, providing a deserved sample for the study. UiTM contributed the highest number of respondents with 55.6%, following by IIUM, UTM, UPSI, UM, and UUM. Several other universities also participated, although with smaller numbers. This distribution improved the representative of the study by capturing opinion from students across different higher education institutions. In terms of monthly income, 60.2% of respondents earn below 500 ringgit, which reflect the financial profile of most university students who rely on allowances, scholarship, or part-time jobs. Despite their lower income, they remain active online consumers. This is supported by the shopping frequency result, where the majority reported making online purchases at least 3 times per month, indicating that they have sufficient online shopping experience to provide meaningful responses.
Now, I will present the finding of the reliability analysis. Reliability analysis was conducted using Cohn-Bach alpha to determine whether the questionnaire item consistently measured each research construct. The results show that trustworthiness recorded a Cohn-Bach alpha of 0.921, expertise recorded 0.905, and attractiveness recorded 0.936. This value indicate excellent internal consistency. Meanwhile, content quality achieved a Cohn-Bach alpha of 0.877, which indicate good reliability. Finally, online purchase intention recorded a value of 0.637. Although this value is lower than the others, it is still considered acceptable for exploratory research.
Next, I will present the descriptive statistics of this study. Descriptive statistics were used to summarize data from 108 respondents. The study includes 1 dependent variable, which is online purchase, and 4 independent variables, which are trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality. The analysis covers the mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum value. Content quality record the highest mean of 4.17, showing the strongest agreement among respondents, while trustworthiness had the lowest mean of 3.39. Content quality also had the lowest standard deviation of 0.19, indicating more consistent responses, whereas trustworthiness had the highest standard deviation of 1.15, showing greater variation in respondent opinion. Next, I will explain each variable in more detail. This slide shows the descriptive statistic for the factor related to online purchasing. The results show that respondents generally agree that income, perceived risk, and education level are related to online purchasing. Among these three factors, income recorded the highest mean score of 4.18 with a standard deviation of 0.783. This means respondents strongly agree with this statement. Perceived risk recorded the second highest mean score of 3.95 with a standard deviation of 0.931, showing that respondents also agree with this statement. Education level recorded the lowest mean score of 3.83 with a standard deviation of 0.952, indicating that respondents had slightly more varied opinions. Overall, the findings show that income is the factor most related to online purchase. So next, this slide shows the descriptive statistic for influencer trustworthiness. Overall, respondents had a moderate level of trust in social media influencers. The highest mean score was 3.51 for influencers, providing reliable product information with a standard deviation of 1.10. Honesty in product review recorded a mean of 3.43 and a standard deviation of 1.15. Sincerity in promoting product had a mean of 3.32 with the highest standard deviation of 1.21, showing more varied opinion. Trust in influencer recommendation recorded the lowest mean of 3.31 with a standard deviation of 1.12. Overall, respondents show moderate trust in influencer, but their response were more various than for the other variable. This slide shows the descriptive statistic for influencer expertise. Overall, respondents moderately agree with the statement. The highest mean score was 3.83 for influencers having experience in reviewing product with a standard deviation of 1.01. The statement that influencers are expert in their content area recorded a mean of 3.79 and a standard deviation of 1.03. Providing useful product information had a mean of 3.71 with a standard deviation of 1.04. The lowest mean score was 3.59 for influencers being knowledgeable about the product they promote with a standard deviation of 1.02. Overall, respondents view influencers as experienced knowledgeable, although their opinions were moderately verified. Next, descriptive statistic for influencer attractiveness. Overall, respondents moderately agree that an influencer attractiveness affects online purchasing. The highest mean score was 3.69 for being more interested in product promoted by attractive influencer, with a standard deviation of 1.09. The statement that attractive influencer increasing confidence in buying product online record a mean of 3.64 and a standard deviation of 1.07. The lowest mean score was 3.62 for attractive influencer being more persuasive with a standard deviation of 1.13. Overall, respondents moderately agree with all the statements, and the standard deviation value indicate fairly consistent responses. Last one is descriptive statistic for content quality, which record the highest level of agreement among all the independent variables. The highest mean score was 4.23 for clear and informative influencer content, encourage online purchases with a standard deviation of 0.769, showing very consistent responses. The statement on high quality product content record a mean of 4.21 and a standard deviation of 0.821. Creative and engaged content had mean of 4.13 with a standard deviation of 1.069. Lastly, high quality social media content, positively effective purchase intention, recorded a mean of 4.10 and standard deviation of 0.966. Overall, the findings show that content quality is the most important factor influencing online purchasing, with relatively consistent responses.
Next, I will present the factor analysis. Factor analysis was conducted to determine whether the questionnaire item were suitable for grouping into their respective construct. The Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin or KMO value is 0.885, which indicates the sample size is adequate for factor analysis. In addition, Barrett test of simplicity is significant, with p-value of less than 0.001. This shows that the variables are sufficiently correlated and suitable for factor analysis. This analysis extracted 4 factors with an eigenvalue greater than 1. Together, these 4 factors explain 74.69% of total variance, indicating that they represent most of the information contained in the data. Most of constructed loaded onto their expected factors. However, trustworthiness and expertise were combined into one factor, suggesting that respondents viewed these two constructs as single concept, which is influencer credibility. Overall, this factor analysis confirmed that the data is suitable for the further statistical analysis and support the measurement structure of the study. Next is correlation analysis. Person correlation analysis was conducted to examine the relationship between independent variable and online purchase intention. The results show that trustworthiness has a positive and significant relationship with online purchase intention, with a correlation coefficient of 0.318. Expertise also has a positive and significant relationship with coefficient of 0.284. Similarly, attractiveness has a positive and significant relationship with a coefficient of 0.233. However, content quality has a correlation coefficient of only 0.130, which is not statistically significant. Among the independent variables, the strongest relationship was found between trustworthiness and expertise, with a correlation coefficient of 0.806, indicating a strong positive relationship. Overall, this analysis suggests that trustworthiness, expertise, and attractiveness are positively related to online purchase intention, while content quality does not show a significant relationship.
Now is the regression analysis. This analysis was conducted to examine whether trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality influence online purchase intention among university students in Malaysia. The results show that the overall regression model is statistically significant, with a p-value of 0.011. This means that these 4 factors, when combined, have a significant influence on online purchase intention. However, when each factor was tested individually, none of them show a statistically significant effect at the level 0.05. Next is the coefficient of determination, or R2. The R2 value is 0.117, which means that trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality explain 11.7% of the variation in online purchase intention. The remaining 88.3% is influenced by other factors that were not included in the study, such as price, customer review, brand reputation, product quality, and previous online shopping experience. Although the model has low explanatory power, it still provides useful insight into how social media influence characteristics relate to online purchase intention. Next is adjusted R2. The adjusted R2 value is 0.83, which means that after accounting for the number of independent variables, the model explains 8.3% of the variation in online purchase intention. This value is lower than the R2 because it adjusts for the number of predictors in the model. Although the regression model is statistically significant, explain only a small proportion of online purchase intention. This suggests that future research should include additional factors to improve the model's explanatory power. Next is model significant. The p-value is 0.011, which is lower than 0.05. This means the overall regression model is statistically significant. In other words, trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality, when tested together, can significantly predict online purchase intention among university students in Malaysia. However, this does not mean that each factor is significant on its own. To determine that, we also need to examine the significance of each individual variable. Lastly, we examine the significance of each independent variable. The results show that trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality all have p-value greater than 0.05. This means that none of these variables has a statistically significant individual effect on online purchase intention. Although trustworthiness, expertise, and attractiveness have positive beta value, and content quality has a negative beta value. None of this effect is statistically significant. Therefore, hypotheses for H1, H2, H3, and H4 are not supported by the regression analysis. Next are the unstandardized beta coefficients, which are used to form the regression equation. These results show that trustworthiness, expertise, and attractiveness have positive coefficients, meaning an increase in this factor is associated with a higher online purchase intention. In contrast, content quality has a negative coefficient, indicating a decrease in online purchase intention. However, since all the p-values are greater than 0.05, these individual effects are not statistically significant. Therefore, the coefficient should be interpreted with caution and cannot be used to claim strong individual influence. Lastly, the standardized beta coefficients are used to compare the relative strength of each independent variable. Trustworthiness has the highest positive beta value, making it the strongest positive predictor in the model. This is followed by expertise and attractiveness, while content quality has a negative beta value. However, since none of the variables are statistically significant, this beta value only show their relative strength within the model and should be not interpreted as confirmed individual influence. In conclusion, the regression model is statistically significant, meaning that the four independent variables collectively predict online purchase intention. However, the model explains only 11.7% of the variation in online purchase intention. In addition, none of the four variables show a statistically significant individual effects. Therefore, all four hypotheses are not supported at the regression level. This finding suggests that other factors beyond influencer characteristic may have a strong influence on online purchase intention among university students in Malaysia.
The purpose of this analysis is to examine whether the four independent variables, namely trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality, have a significant influence on online purchase intention among university students in Malaysia. In this research, we use a significant level of 0.05. If the p-value is less than 0.05, the hypothesis is supported. However, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, the hypothesis is rejected. Based on our finding, all four variables have p-value greater than 0.05. Therefore, none of the hypotheses are supported. This means that these influence characteristics do not significantly influence student online purchase intention in this study. Now, I will explain the result for hypothesis 1, which examines the relationship between influencer trustworthiness and online purchase intention. The results show that hypothesis 1 is not supported because the relationship is not statistically significant.
Although the beta coefficient indicate a positive relationship, the effect is weak and does not meet the required significant level of 0.05. This suggests that university students may perceive the trustworthy influence as honest as reliable, but trust alone is not enough to encourage them to buy product online. Before making a purchase, students usually compare product price, consider their personal needs, evaluate product usefulness, and read customer review. Therefore, trustworthiness alone does not significantly influence their purchase decision. Next is hypothesis 2, which investigate with the influencer expertise affect online purchase intention. Based on the analysis, hypothesis 2 is also not supported by the relationship. Is not statistically significant. Although influencers may have knowledge and experience about the product they promote, students do not rely entirely on their expertise when making purchase decisions. Instead, they usually gather information from multiple sources, such as online review, recommendation from friends, and cooperation between different brands. This shows that expertise alone is not a strong enough factor to influence online purchase intention among Malaysian university students. Moving on to hypothesis 3, the hypothesis examined with the influencer attractiveness has a significant influence on online purchase intention. This finding indicates that hypothesis 3 is not supported because the relationship is statistically insignificant. Although attractive influencer may receive more attention and engagement on social media, their physical appearance and personality alone do not encourage students to purchase online. Most students view attractiveness influencer as a source of entertainment rather than a reason to buy a product. Instead, they focus on more practical factors including product quality, price, usefulness, and customer feedback before making a purchasing decision. Next is hypothesis 4, which focus on content quality. The results show the content quality does not significantly influence online purchase intention among university students. Although high quality content is informative, creative, visual attractive, and engaging, it is still not enough to directly influence student purchase decision. Students appreciate good content, but they still evaluate other important factors before making a purchase. These factors include the product's affordability, usefulness, quality, and the experience shared by other consumers through online review. Therefore, content quality alone is not significant predictor of online purchase intention in this study. To conclude this section, all four hypotheses in our study are not supported. The findings indicate the trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness, and content quality do not have a statistically significant influence on online purchase intention among Malaysian university students. This suggests that students are rationally consumer who do not depend solely on influencer characteristics when making purchasing decisions. Instead, they place greater importance on factors such as product price, affordability, personal needs, perceived usefulness, and online customer review. Overall, businesses should not rely only on influencer marketing, but should also focus on providing quality product, competitive pricing, and positive customer experience to encourage online purchasing.
Chapter 5 presents the overall findings, conclusion, and recommendation based on the data analysis. The results show that all four independent variables have a significant positive relationship with online purchase intention. Among them, content quality had the strongest influence, followed by expertise, attractiveness, and trustworthiness. Overall, the findings support the theory of planned behavior and show that influencer characteristics can increase students' intention to buy products online. Based on the findings, we recommend that businesses work with influencers who are credible, knowledgeable, and trustworthy. Influencers should also focus on creating high quality, informative, and engaging content instead of only promoting products. For future research, researchers can include a larger sample size and study additional factors such as electronic word of mouth, brand image, consumer trust, and influencer credibility. That's all from us. Thank you.